Oh, I hate life. John, can you mute yourself? Oh, I hate life. John, can you mute yourself? Oh, I hate life. 안녕하세요. 저는 주한 스웨덴 대사관에서 교육 홍보를 담당하고 있는 이주연입니다. 오늘은 스웨덴 대학 학부 또는 석사 유학에 필요한 정보들을 제공하는 시간을 마련하였습니다. 오늘 이야기를 나눠주실 분들은 현재 스웨덴에서 스웨덴 대학에서 외국인 학생 입학 담당을 오랜 기간 해주신 스웨덴인 전문가 4분과 스웨덴 대학에서 석사를 마치고 취업에 성공하신 한국인 졸업생 2분을 모시고 스웨덴 유학에 대한 솔직한 이야기 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 진행 중에 궁금하신 점이나 또는 질문이 있으시면 댓글 남겨주시고 저희가 질의응답 시간을 통해 답변을 드리도록 하겠습니다. 오늘 게스트분들을 초대하기 전에 먼저 제가 간단하게 스웨덴 유학에 대한 전반적인 설명을 드리도록 하겠습니다. 네, 제가 준비한 PPT 보시고 들어주실게요. 네, 스웨덴 인구는 1000만으로 한국의 서울 인구 정도입니다. 하지만 면적은 한국의 5배로 인구 밀도가 적어서 자연환경이 굉장히 잘 보존되어 있는 깨끗한 나라입니다. 스웨덴이 놀라운 점은 인구가 비교적 적지만 세계적으로 다양한 분야에서 인정을 받는다는 점인데요. 먼저 39개의 대학이 있으며 2-3개 정도를 제외하고는 모두 국립대학입니다. 네, 39개의 대학 중 3분의 1은 세계 랭킹 500위 안에 드는 상위권 대학들인데요. 이는 인구 대비해서 세계에서 가장 많은 우수 대학을 보유한 국가입니다. 그 대학들은 카롤린스카 인스티튜트, 그리고 룬드대학교, 웁살라 대학교, 스톡홀름 대학교, 예테보리 대학교, KTH 왕립공과대학교, 샬머스 대학교, 네, SLU 농림대학교, 우메오 대학교, 옴브레 대학교, 그리고 린시핑 대학교입니다. 네, 두 번째로 주목할 점은 바로 스웨덴의 평등 문화입니다. 세계 평등 지표에서 1위를 평가받고 있으며 또 실제 다양한 직업군에서 남녀 평등이 잘 이루어져 있습니다. 정부기관의 경우 여성 장관의 비율이 50%가 넘고 또 육아휴직 제도가 엄마 아빠에게 평등하게 주어지며 제도만이 존재하는 것이 아니라 대부분의 아빠들이 휴직을 하고 아이를 돌보는 모습을 스웨덴에서는 쉽게 볼 수 있습니다. 스웨덴의 평등 문화는 남녀 평등을 넘어서 성 정체성, 인종, 나이, 종교의 평등을 중요시하고 있고 다르다는 것이 차별로 이어지지 않는 문화입니다. 세 번째로 주목할 만한 점은 바로 지속 가능성인데요. 스웨덴은 전 세계에서 가장 지속 가능한 국가입니다. 쓰레기 처리 방식이 굉장히 인상적인데요. 가정에서 나오는 95%의 쓰레기는 재활용이 된다고 해요. 단순히 재활용이 가능한 쓰레기를 분리하는 것이 아니라 쓰레기를 태워서 이를 에너지로 재사용하고 있습니다. 스웨덴의 에너지 사용을 보면 54.5%가 신재생 에너지라고 볼 수 있습니다. 또 스웨덴 면적의 63%는 자연이며 이 중 9%는 호수와 강으로 이루어져 있어서 굉장히 깨끗한 나라입니다. 미세먼지는 존재하지 않고요. 네, 스웨덴 하면 빠질 수 없는 것이 바로 창의와 혁신인데요. 노벨의 나라와 걸맞게 스웨덴은 창의성을 굉장히 중요시하고 또 존중합니다. 실제로 유니콘 기업, 즉 기업 가치가 1조 원 이상인 스타트업 기업이 실리콘밸리 다음으로 많이 있습니다. 하지만 반면 기업 문화는 일과 삶의 균형을 굉장히 중시하는데요. 스웨덴인의 1% 미만만이 주 50시간 이상을 근무하고 있고 또 세계 행복 지표에서도 스웨덴은 항상 1, 2위를 차지하고 있다고 합니다. 네, 스웨덴은 스웨덴어를 사용하는 나라입니다. 하지만 비영어권 국가 중 가장 영어를 잘하는 국가이기도 하죠. 스웨덴 국민의 90%는 영어를 능숙하게 할 수 있고 스웨덴 유학을 가신다면 생활하고 공부하는데 영어만으로도 충분합니다. 네, 지금부터는 영어 프로그램을 지원하는 방법과 과정에 대해서 간단하게 설명을 드리도록 하겠습니다. 네, 학부 과정은 총 100개 정도의 3년짜리 과정이 영어로 개설되어 있고요. 석사 같은 경우는 1000개 이상의 1년 또는 2년 과정의 석사 과정이 개설되어 있습니다. 스웨덴 대학의 원서 접수는 학교로 직접 하는 것이 아니라 정보기관인 universityadmissions.se라는 홈페이지를 통해서 온라인으로 모두 접속할 수 있게 되어 있습니다. 굉장히 간단한 원서 접수 프로세스를 설명을 드릴게요. 만약에 내년 가을 학기에 입학을 원하신다면 원서 접수를 올해 10월 중순에서 1월 중순 사이에 온라인을 통해서 지원하시면 되는데요. 지원 방법은 아까 말씀드린 universityadmissions.se라는 홈페이지를 통해서 원서 접수를 하게 되어 있고 석사 과정의 경우 4개까지 프로그램을 지원하실 수 있고 학부 과정은 총 8개까지 지원하실 수 있습니다. 합격 여부는 4월 중순에 발표가 나고요. 네, 주한 스웨덴 대사관에서 합격하신 분들을 초대해서 비자 발급에 관련된 그런 내용에 대해서 오리엔테이션을 진행하고 있습니다. 네, 기본적인 애플리케이션 리퀘어먼트에 대해서 말씀드리도록 하겠습니다. 기본적으로 외국인 학생의 경우 영어 공인 인증 시험이 필요한데요. IELTS 아카데믹 6.5 또는 토플 90점 이상을 받으시면 되고 학부 과정의 경우 고등학교 졸업장 그리고 3년 동안에 있었던 성적표를 제출을 하셔야 합니다. 석사의 경우 마찬가지로 학부 과정 졸업장과 그리고 학부 동안 받았던 성적표가 필요합니다. 네, 학비에 관련해서 굉장히 제너럴한 부분이긴 한데 나중에 학교 담당자 분들에게 구체적인 내용을 들으실 수 있습니다. 우선 학비는 굉장히 저렴한 학과부터 굉장히 비싼 학과까지 다양하게 있는데요. 1년으로 봤을 때 1년 과정이 800만 원에서 많게는 3,500만 원까지 나오게 됩니다. 소셜 사이언스 같은 경우는 좀 저렴한 편이고 디자인이나 건축이나 이런 분야 쪽은 학비가 좀 높은 편입니다. 평균적으로 1,000에서 1,500 정도 1년에 학비가 든다고 생각하시면 됩니다. EU 국민 또는 스웨덴 거주 허가증이 있는 국민은 학비가 없습니다. 네, 제가 준비한 내용은 여기까지고요. 지금부터는 저희 이제 대학교 담당자 분들의 이야기를 듣는 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 네, 지금 아까 전에 말씀드렸던 12개의 명문대학 중에 4개의 대학에서 담당자분들이 나와서 이야기를 해주실 텐데요. 먼저 저희가 참가 등록을 해주셨던 분들을 공통적으로 많이 받았던 질문 4가지가 있어서 그 4가지 주제를 저희가 잡고 이야기를 나누도록 하겠습니다. 통역 없이 진행되는 점 양해 부탁드립니다. Now, I would like to introduce our guest speakers from our top Swedish university. Shall we start from North? Petra, Umeå from Umeå University.
Thanks so much, Johan. I'm really happy to be here today. I work at the international office at Umeå University. And good morning here from Sweden and good afternoon in Korea. We are a university in the north, as Johan mentioned. It's we have about 35,000 enrolled students. It's quite a young university, founded in 1965. And it's a multidisciplinary university with 4 different faculties. We have students from representing 60 different nationalities. And Umeå as a city has around 120,000 inhabitants. So it's easy to get around, and the main campus is also very centralized in many ways. Most of our educations are at the same campus, which means that when you study here with us, you will get to know students within all different fields of studies. We are also a research-oriented university. We conduct research in most areas, for example, Arctic research, infection medicine, epidemiology, global health. It was here in Umeå that Emmanuel Charpentier was, well, together with Jennifer Doda, came up with a gene editing tool that gave them the Nobel Peace Prize in Chemistry 2020. For our students here, we also have a buddy program, which means that once you get here, you'll get to know students, both Swedish and from all over the world, getting to know our Swedish traditions, even seeing the Northern Lights, going for a swim in the winter, seeing moose farms and so on. It's a good mixture of cultural life and nature activities and a good education. That's what you will get if you come to Umeå.
Thank you, Petra. Okay, now shall we go to Stockholm? Margareta from KTH.
Hi, everyone. I also work at the international office, but in KTH. KTH is the oldest, largest, and best ranked technical university in Sweden. We are located in the middle of the capital, Stockholm. As you can see in my background, it's the main campus of KTH. We also have 4 other campuses, and one of the campuses is located in Kista, which is said to be Sweden's Silicon Valley, where you can find all the companies like IBM, Microsoft, Ericsson, and all our computer science related educations are located there. We mainly have engineering studies. We also have quite a lot of computer science studies and also architecture. We are an international university. We don't have so many students in total. We have about 13,000 full-time students in total, and we have about 2,000 international students. We both have exchange students and degree-seeking students in the university. We also have quite a lot of international PhD students and international staff. We focus a lot on sustainability, also on innovation, and some of like the big innovators lately come from KTH. For example, the founder of Spotify has been studying at KTH. And it's KTH is a great place for international students to come and experience Stockholm and experience Swedish education culture. So welcome to KTH.
Thank you, Margareta. Now, shall we hear from John, Gothenburg University?
Well, yes, I would like to say that I'm John Molander and I'm working with student recruitment, especially international student recruitment. I'll tell you a little bit about what the University of Gothenburg is all about. I would like to say that we believe that you share a set of beliefs and values, such as inequality and sustainability, if you're coming to University of Gothenburg, and who expect an independent and modern approach to learning. We are a multidisciplinary city-centered university right in the heart of the city of Gothenburg. And Gothenburg, or GU as we say, has one of the most comprehensive offerings of courses and programs in Sweden, some of them even unique globally. So we can say that we offer something for people with all sorts of goals in life, and you will benefit from an educational environment where different disciplines will influence you. As we are having almost all curriculums presented at our university. I can also shortly say that we are a QS Top 100 ranked university in many subjects, not all, but many. And we have a grad school that is one of the 100 business schools in the world that has this triple crown, which is accreditation to all three different AS, CSB, AMBA, or EQUIST. Short about the research, you can say that the research at GU contributes to a sustainable and knowledge-based development. That's our main purpose, and in part through innovative research-based solutions. And most of research at the University of Gothenburg is transitioned into the programs. So we're trying to get as most as possible of the research into the advanced level of the programs, such as our 85 different master's programs. So we have master's programs in almost all areas, and it's divided into 8 different areas, and you can read more about that in our webpage. We also have 5 bachelor's programs. So that's was all from me in Gothenburg.
Thank you, John. Okay, last but not least, Johan from Lund University.
Thank you, G1, everyone else. Always nice to be last in this kinds of activities. My name is Johan Gunderson. I work at Lund University in southern Sweden. So Lund is one of the top ranked universities in Scandinavia. It's also one of the oldest. We were established in 1666, so it's a bit more than 350 years of history. We're a large university. We have around, I think, 43,000 students currently studying at Lund University, so it's a big one. We have 9 faculties, so very comprehensive: engineering, science, social science, business, humanities, medicine, fine and performing arts, etc. And within all these faculties, we have around 130 master's degree programs offered. So there is something for almost everyone here at Lund University. We also have around 10 bachelor's level programs. As I said, we're a top ranked university. We're top 100 according to QS, Times Higher Education, and also US News. And we're the top choice for international students applying to Sweden, including Korean students. We usually get quite a lot of applications from Korea. And like the other universities before me, we are a public, not-for-profit research university. So I think I told you we have around 43,000 students, and we are very international. So we have around 20% of our students are international overall. But in the master's degree programs, 60% of the students are international, that is to say non-Swedish. So that can mean European or outside of Europe, of course. Quite recently, Times Higher Education, they said that we were the 40th most international university in the world. That was just this year, 2021. So we're very proud of that, very happy about it. It's a very international environment here in Lund. Just a little bit about the location. Lund, so we sometimes get the question if Lund University is located in Stockholm, but it's not. It's in the very south of Sweden. So we're the closest capital city would actually be Copenhagen, the capital of Denmark. So most people traveling from, say, Korea to Lund will fly some way to Copenhagen and then take the train from Copenhagen Airport to Lund. It's a fairly small town. We have around 120,000 people here, but you can imagine with 1,000 students, 43,000 students, is very much a traditional European university town experience that would await you here. So that's just kind of a basic introduction to our university and city. I'd be happy to take your questions if you have any. So thanks so much for now.
Thank you, Johan. Now we can talk about the 4 topics that was most questioned from the reserved participants. So the first question is, what is the most popular program in Sweden? So we have about 1,000 English programs taught in English in Swedish universities, and it would be very interesting to hear from each university what is the most popular English programs you have. So maybe Johan, you can start.
Okay, yeah, as I mentioned just now, we're a very comprehensive university. So we have, you know, as I said, social science, business engineering, etc. But the one program that we have that is usually the most popular choice, if you just look at number of applications, is in business administration. It's called International Marketing and Brand Management. It's a 1-year master's degree program. So that is, in just looking at the number of applications, that is usually the most popular one.
Okay, maybe KTH, can you also talk about the popular program from your university?
Yeah, I would say most of our programs are quite popular. It's quite popular with both engineering and computer science and architecture. But I would say anything within computer science. We have computer science program with different tracks. We have the machine learning program with the artificial intelligence, which is a very hot topic right now. So those different programs are the most popular, I would say. Also, our architecture program get a lot of applications, and we have very few spots on the architecture program. But you can look on our webpage we have acceptance rate on each of our programs on the webpage, where you can see how many % we accept of the applications coming in to that specific program. You can see how popular it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Margareta. Umeo, Patra, can you tell us about your popular program?
Yes, of course, Johan. Our 3 most popular programs are within design, within public health, and within business. And for example, in public health is the program, they have 3 different programs, a 1-year master, 2-year master, and a 2-year master with specialization in health economics. And that's by far the most popular programs at the university. Our design school, also there you have to send in submit a portfolio. And there's a high quality of qualifications of candidates for that program. And we are also top ranked in Europe and in North and South America. And the business school is environmentally accredited. So we have sort of a stamp saying that it's a good international and global environment for collaboration.
Thank you, Petra. So let's hear from Gothenburg University, Jan.
I guess I need to unmute myself first. Yes, I have about the similar as what Umeo is just saying. We have many different curriculums and very different, so many different areas of studies. So I'm not going to pick out any certain program that are most popular. I just want to say that, for example, fine arts, crafts and design, we have a lot of offerings there. It's very competitive, but of course the number of the study opportunities are not that big, so it's that's why it's competitive, but it's also very popular. But if you look at the numbers, of course, there are some programs in different areas of studies that are popular, as in health sciences, for example. There are global health and public health programs. They are very popular, and we have IT programs that are also popular. Our business schools have a lot of applicants each year, and as it's also popular, it's very competitive. So yeah, that's about that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we're getting quite few questions from YouTube right now. So maybe I'll get some of the relevant question. Okay, Yeonju Lee is asking about after graduation from these popular programs. So is it possible to get jobs in Sweden after graduating these popular programs you introduced? And is there like a system where the program supports the students to get jobs? Yes, Margareta from KTH.
Yeah, the programs I mentioned within computer science, I would say it's fairly easy to get a job after graduation. And for those areas, you don't even have to speak Swedish to get a good job in Sweden, because there is a lack of people with that knowledge. So companies are hiring our students even before they graduate. So I would say those programs are, yeah, you get jobs easily after those, both in Sweden and abroad, of course.
Okay, well, I mean, it doesn't have to be like jobs, but it could also be about having PhD studies after the programs. Can anybody tell us about this research areas after graduating master programs? Yes, Johan from Lund.
Yeah, I think I just want to add to what Margareta said. It's usually the case that if you have a certain major and it's easy in your home country to get a job within that, it's also probably easy in Sweden, and vice versa. If it's difficult in your own country to get a job within, if you have graduated with certain major, it's probably difficult here as well. So there's not a huge difference globally here. But with regard to research education, PhD level studies, yes, of course, all the 4 universities here offer research education, that is to say, PhD level studies. And if you finish a master's degree, I think John talked about it before, that there is quite a strong link between the master's programs and current research that is being conducted at the university. So the teachers that you have in the master's degree programs will be researchers. So they will kind of, through that, introduce you to the latest research in their areas. And some students will choose to go on to do PhD level studies. They can do that either at our universities, or they can, search for opportunities elsewhere. It depends kind of what opportunities are available when they have finished their studies. Maybe you have a person who took the master's degree in Lund, but we don't have a PhD offer in that major, but maybe Gothenburg do. So he or she can then, apply to a PhD position there. So it's not just about staying at the same university. It's okay to move around in Sweden.
And especially between our 4 universities, because we are all very highly competitive. So if you graduate from one of our 4 universities, I would say you are competitive for those positions. And you can also add that in Sweden, we don't regard PhD as a study opportunity. It's actually a job with a salary. It's not always that it works that way in other countries, but in Sweden, it's you actually applying for a job. So that process is maybe also different. I'm not aware of the how it works in Korea, but in Sweden, it's like that.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say as well. You have to look at the job positions and vacancies, and then you apply for the PhD positions as a regular job.
Okay, well, I want to get one more question related to these programs. So Jung Eugene from YouTube Watcher is asking about the level of English from both the students and also the professor. So how is the English level in Swedish universities?
It's pretty good, I would say. I mean, we speak English, most people speak English. It's you go anywhere, it can even be a bit hard to learn Swedish if you're studying Swedish when you're here and you want to speak Swedish, people start speaking English with you because they love speaking English. So
and you can add to that, if you're studying at an advanced level, it's highly likely that one of the staff or the professor or whoever is teaching, he or she is an international. It's big chance that you will meet not only Swedish staff.
Okay, Seon from our YouTube Watcher is also asking do I need to study Swedish to fully understand the classes? So do you think the students should study Swedish? Johan from...
Yeah, just quickly, of course, you do not need to know a word of Swedish to study in our programs because it's all completely in English. But if you stay here for more than a year, if you take a 2 or a 3 year program, then you would be eligible for free Swedish language classes offered by the city or municipality where you live. And it doesn't matter if it's what city it is or municipality, they would have to offer you free Swedish language classes. And I usually recommend for people who know that they want to make a future in Sweden, they want to work and stay and maybe start a family or whatever, they want to stay long term beyond their studies, it makes sense to learn Swedish to be able to integrate into society. But for the study period itself, it's absolutely not necessary to learn Swedish.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we should move on to the second topic, which is about the cost living and studying in Sweden. So starting from 2011, Sweden started to introduce tuition fee to foreign students, and student wants to estimate how much it will cost them to study and live there. I know the tuition fee range is quite big, as I've shown in my presentation, and also the living cost varies depending on the cities you live. So could you please tell us about your tuition fee level and also general living cost in your city? Starting from Petra from Umeå.
yes, I mean, since we are a very comprehensive university, our tuition fees differs a lot. I would say from for a year, 8,500 euro to 33,000 euro a year. So it all depends on the field you're studying in. And as for living costs in general, I mean, it's recommended to have 8,000 euro a month for living costs. And we offer housing for master students during the first year. Second year you have to find on your own, but first year you have housing. And then it's in a student dorm with 8 to 12 people. And that cost is, for example, between 200 and 300 euros. And in Umeå, I would say it can be quite cheap to live with Swedish standards, since you can get yourself a secondhand bicycle and then you can go by bicycle everywhere. So you don't need to take the bus or the train or anything if you plan to stay here. But as for, I don't know if anyone else would like to add in on general living cost. It all depends, I would say. If you live a student life and eat pasta, or if you go out to fancy restaurants, then it can be expensive, of course.
Okay, how is it in Gothenburg, John?
Yes, it's about the same as Petra said. We have, if you make it a bit easy, you can say we have like a lower level, and then you have a sort of intermediate level, and then you have a high level of tuition. So if you have the graduate school, for example, it's about 9,000 euro for an academic year. But if you're looking for a design school or arts and crafts, it could be up to 50,000 euros or US dollar. So in between, and then you have the natural sciences. It's more in par with what you can say it's 1500 or 1800. 15 to 18,000. So it's a little. If you make it a bit easy, it's a lower level and it's a higher level, and one level in between, as there are so many different subjects. Yeah. And regarding the living costs, I would say it's about the same in all four Swedish cities. Maybe the rent could be a bit higher in Gothenburg. Maybe, I'm not sure about that. But it depends where you get your flat. If it's in the city center, of course, there is a higher living cost. But if you get somewhere outside of Gothenburg, the cost is a bit lower. Yeah.
Okay, how is it in Lund, Johan?
Yes, unmute. It's more or less the same, I would say. Most of in terms of tuition fees for most of our programs, it's between 10 and 15,000 euros per year, depending on the major. And then we also have a handful of programs like architecture, industrial design, etc., that would be a bit more, and also fine and performing arts that are more expensive, and they are around 20,000 euros per year. For living expenses, the recommendation, I think, for students is the same regardless where they live in Sweden. It's maybe between 800 and 900 euros per month that you would need. We have dormitories for international non-European students. They're guaranteed housing. So for the whole duration of their program. And the typical cost for dormitory style housing in Lund would be 300 to 500 euros per month for a single occupancy dorm. Living expenses in general, I mean, it depends, like Petra said, on your habits and your kind of how cozy you want life to be, basically. I can just mention quickly that if you want to save money in Sweden, of course, the two biggest expenses are rent and food, right? So if you want to save money, rent you have to pay, but food you can choose if you want to go cheap or want to go expensive. Most students cook their own meals. Swedish students, international students. So there are no kind of canteens with subsidized food or stuff like that. So you have to go to a cafe or a restaurant. And then if you do that every day, of course, it's going to be expensive. But Lund is a student town, so a lot of the prices are, friendly for students.
Okay, let's hear from KTH in Stockholm. Margareta?
Yeah, regarding the tuition fees, we have one standard fee for most of our programs, and that's 21 million Korean wons per year. We have some joint programs that differs a little bit, and also we have the architecture program that is a bit more expensive than the other programs. When it comes to living costs, I don't think there is much difference from the other cities, even if Stockholm is the capital city. You will have most of the students need public transport card to get around, because we have most of our student housing is not on campus. They are allocated elsewhere. One of the most popular areas, you reach it by KTH by bike, so you can buy a second-hand bike and get around quite easily. We offer all the international students 1 year of accommodation. And most of the students stay in dorms, but we also have tiny student flats. So the price is, of course, is a bit cheaper with the dorms, and it could be a bit more pricey with the flats that are also centrally located. But I think yeah, otherwise it's mostly like the other cities.
Thank you. Let's get some question from YouTube. There's a question about having pets in the dorms. Do you have accommodation for that?
I think no, unfortunately. I have a dog myself, and I know Margareta, she has several dogs. So I don't know if you have an answer for that, Margareta, but I think you have to look for accommodation on your own, private landlords, or signing up through the local community service in Umeå.
Yeah, the same would be for KTH. We don't allow any pets in the dormitories or the student flats.
Okay, I have one question that is relevant that we already received from one of our participants. Can I get part-time job to earn living cost in Sweden? Is it legal?
Yes, it's legal, but we advise you to focus on your studies, of course. I mean, your first priority must be to your studies, and then if you have extra time and if you find a job, of course you can work as well.
Okay, anyone else to add?
Yeah, you cannot really rely on extra part-time job to finance your studies, because before you come to Sweden, you apply for the residence permit for studies, and then you have to show that you have enough money to support yourself during your studies. So the part-time work would more be like extra pocket money for you if you want to, for example, if you want to travel during the summer or do some other things, then you can save up for some with the part-time jobs, but not to support your living costs, I would say.
Okay, I think we should move on to now scholarship, since we're talking about cost. So from my experience, I have seen quite many Korean students getting university tuition fee waiver scholarship. Can you tell us about your scholarship program for foreign students, and what is the selection criteria for it? So maybe we can start from Margareta, since you were last one talking.
Yeah, KTH has a tuition fee waiver for international students. It's quite competitive. We have about 60 scholarships per year for the whole of KTH. So the selection criteria are that you have to be the top applicant in your program. So the program directors of each program will nominate their top applicants. And we looking at partly GPA, we're also looking at your CV. You also have to write a letter related to the sustainability development goals. And write about how your education in KTH will support your career in terms of increase the like to reach the sustainable development goals. So there is like an comprehensive overview of you as a student. We also have a 1-year scholarship that you can apply for after your first year, and that will be based on your study results from the first year. So that's also a tuition fee waiver.
Okay, Petra from Leo, how does the scholarship program?
Yes, so we have a scholarship program for master students. one program for all master programs, and then a specific one for design and one for public health. And once you have applied to a university, make sure to put us as priority to be able to be eligible for the scholarships. And after the application deadline, you will receive an email with an invitation to apply. And our selection criteria is based on academic merits, and you also submit a letter of motivation. So if you have the same academic merits, we will look at the letter of motivation and decide who will receive the scholarship.
Okay. How is it in Lund, Johan?
It's kind of similar, but also different from the other ones, I guess. We have a scholarship program that is called Lund University Global Scholarship. And we award, I think this year we awarded around 130 scholarships within that program. And students they have to apply to be able to get the scholarship. And we ask students to tell us how much they would need covered in order to join us here. So, you know, do you need 50% of the fee covered, 75% or 100%? And then we're going to try to award them that amount when we award the scholarship. And like the other universities, it's a merit-based scholarship, so it's not a needs-based scholarship. So what students should focus on first and foremost is to make a very strong program application. So if you make a strong program application and the people who review your application, they say, we love this person, we really want him or her to be able to join our program, that is your chance to be, you know, on the short list for a scholarship. Just like in Umeå, you're going to have to make kind of a separate scholarship application. First, you apply to the program, then after we, you know, the application round closes, we invite eligible students to apply for a scholarship. So you just need to submit a motivation letter, basically, but it's awarded based on merit. So making a strong program application is key.
Okay, thank you. Gothenburg, John, can you tell us about your scholarship program?
Yes, it's about our program is also similar to both KTH and somewhat what Johan was saying. It's called Axel Adler Scholarship, and this year we awarded 60 scholarships, and we have decided that each program will get one recipient. So the competition, so the chances of getting a scholarship can vary very much, and it doesn't. There's no. I mean, some programs can have over 100 applicants, but another program can have as a very much lower grade of applicants. So the competition is very different. We have decided that we want to have internationalization on all programs. And it's also merit-based. We look at the GPA, we look at the CV, we look at the personal letter. You will support your career goals in your support letter. And it's a tuition fee waiver, so you get both 2 years, master's study years, free tuition. And it's also offered for our bachelor's programs. So, and there you get a 3-year waiver. And there are also some other scholarship programs, which is not Axel Adler, especially for the graduation school. The grad school has another program. But it's all on our webpage, so you will get all the information there. Thank you.
Okay, now we should move on to our final topic, which is application requirements. I mentioned in my previous presentation that you need an English proficiency test as a basic requirement for both bachelor and master studies in Sweden. What about other requirements? Do you have other specific requirements from your programs? Yeah, Johan from Lund.
Yes, my favorite old topic. Yeah, almost all of our programs do have specific entry requirements, which means basically that students, yes, you have a bachelor's degree and that's fine, but you also need to have taken certain courses during your bachelor's level studies and a certain amount of credits in certain subjects in order to be eligible for most of our programs. So just as an example, if you want to take a business administration master's program, you must have studied a certain amount of business administration at bachelor's level to be eligible. And it's quite unusual in Sweden that you can move freely between different majors from bachelor's to master's. You tend to stick in the same kind of major, but then you can perhaps specialize at master's level. But you must have usually a certain foundation from bachelor's level.
Okay.
Yes, and the easiest way to find out what you need for each program is to visit our different websites and read about each unique program. And then, it will say exactly what you need. And I think maybe Johan, you will post different links to our study websites, right?
Yes.
In the chat.
Okay,
I can.
yes.
Yeah, I can just mention regarding eligibility for our programs is basically you need an engineering degree from your bachelor studies to enter KTH, but you can normally choose different tracks of your master degree than you had for the bachelor, but the basics has to be engineering. And for the computer science programs, you need some form of computer science background. And it's similar to what Johan said about Lund, that it's normally that you need certain topics in your degree to be eligible, and not exactly what your program was called in your bachelor degree.
Okay, I'd like to get a question which is relevant to this topic. Is it necessary to contact professor in advance before applying to any programs?
No, you don't need to contact your professor.
You can say that the application process is very straightforward. So, of course, you can contact him or her if you want to know more about the program and what kind of research are done in that area. But regarding your chances to get admitted talking to a professor, I would say it's about 0. They will only look at the transcripts.
Yeah, and also I would say that in Sweden, we don't pre-assess students. I mean, in order to find out if you're actually eligible for a program or not, you have to actually make an application. You can't send your material to us first and ask us to pre-assess it before you make an application. But of course, it's always possible to contact the university and kind of, I have this background, do you think it's suitable for me to apply to this program in a softer fashion? But we won't be able to say, yes, absolutely, 100% certain that you will be admitted, or, the other way. So it's up to it's the student's responsibility to figure out or find out if they fulfill the entry requirements or not. We can leave it at that.
True, but you can also, I would say, book a time with a study counselor if you need some guidance.
But I would like to add, looking at applications from Korean students the last years, I will say that most of the Korean students has been very competitive, and they are most likely to be eligible as well. So I guess we have all that experience, all of us, from the study background of Korean students. So it's more about getting the documents in the right way and follow the process and look at what is really. Maybe Johan, you can add on that, because we have seen that the problem is not the GPA. The problem is somewhat how to document in the right way.
Yeah, I think I can just add slightly there that Johan has told you that you need to use university admissions in Sweden to make an application to a Swedish university, and that's obviously correct. But they also have quite a lot of rules on how you document and submit your supporting documents. and you must follow their instructions in order to get approved by university admissions in Sweden. And we have seen sometimes in the past that people, not just Korean students, but people from all over the world, they make assumptions based on, you know, their experience maybe from other countries. Like, well, when I applied to the United States, they wanted this, and my sister applied to Australia and they said that. But you have to look at the rules and requirements that we have in Sweden for how to submit your documents in order to get approved by university admissions in Sweden. And that has to happen first before we, the universities, can get a chance to assess your application. So you must pass university admissions first, then your application will be forwarded to the universities that you have applied to.
Okay, there are a lot of questions regarding selection process and selection criteria. So one of a student asking, what is more important, the GPA, the merits, or CV, or the resume, the career that you accumulated?
What you can say is that the GPA is sort of the foundation of your application. If you don't have the GPA and if you don't compete to each other students with your GPA, then your personal letter maybe it's not so important. But as you are having a competitive GPA, of course, the support your personal letter is in the mix.
At Umeå University, we base the selection criteria to most programs on academic credits. It means if you have a bachelor, you have 180 credits. And we don't look at motivation letter in that case. Only for our architecture, design, and art schools, you have to submit a portfolio with a motivation letter.
I think in our case in Lund, for us, it's very important that you have a strong motivation letter, or as we call it, statement of purpose. But as John said, without a competitive GPA, it's kind of hard to be a competitive applicant anyway. So GPA is certainly important. But I think I want to highlight here the fact that all programs at all Swedish universities have published official selection criteria. So you have to look at those to find out how do they select students to this program and how do they select students to that program, because there is a difference and it's not a uniform for all programs at all universities.
Margareta, would you like to add anything about the selection process?
No, I think that both John and Johan has said exactly how it works at KTH. So you need a strong GPA, but also motivation is very important. So, but for architecture, for example, it's your portfolio that is important.
Okay, so we'll get some questions from YouTube. Okay, what is the range of competitive GPA? Like, do you have like a certain score that you can mention, or is there a way they can find about more detailed information?
I think they,
Yes.
I'm sorry, Margaret, I didn't see it, but you.
I would say it totally differs from different program. It depends on how competitive the program is. So is it a very competitive program, the GPA range would be much higher than for a less competitive program. So it's hard to say any specific numbers, I would say.
Yeah, and
Okay.
also to add to that, I think a reason is that if we say a certain GPA, then many students would perhaps assume that if they have above that, they're guaranteed admission, and no one is ever guaranteed admission. You know, it's a competitive process where the universities try to select the most suitable candidates for a program, and GPA is very important there, but it's not always the only thing we look at.
Okay, time is running out, but we want to get one more question. Okay, we have a question about tuition fee. So you mentioned about the tuition fee from your each program. Do you have to pay this tuition fee at once, or do you divide it by each semester, or how is the process?
By each semester. So, for example, this year, if you're going to start to study in the fall, you have to pay by the 10th of June for the first semester to secure your place.
And how many semesters do you have per year?
Two.
Two per year.
I just want to mention or add to Petra, there are different deadlines for different universities. You had the 10th of June, we had the 20th of May. So
good.
a week
Good that you
ago,
mentioned.
they should have paid. So you have to watch out, students who are admitted, you have to follow the instructions for the school or university where you have been admitted.
Okay, thank you. Now we have two other speakers waiting, but maybe we can introduce a little bit about our next week's one-on-one counseling, because there are a lot of personal questions being asked in our YouTube. So maybe we could go around who's going to have the one-on-one counseling session next week. So Romeo,
So
yeah.
we will start. You will meet me and our study counselor Francine on Monday.
yes,
and-
Monday from
Yep,
5 to 8 in
Yes.
Korean time. And you can make reservation now at our website. And on Wednesday, we have KTH.
No, it's me.
Sorry.
According to my calendar, at least.
Yes.
Me.
Yes.
So
You
I
are
hope
on
that's correct.
Wednesday.
Yes, I am on Wednesday, and people are welcome, of course, to contact me through G1 and make a scheduled appointment. But I will be available. It's a 3-4 hour window, I think.
It's 3 hours from
3 hours.
5 to 8.
Okay, so
you
please
make
sign
a
up.
personal reservation. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, on Thursday, we have KTH Margareta, who will be counseling with our students.
Yeah, that's correct. On Thursday next week, you can meet me and ask any questions you might have about our programs or anything about KTH. And it's
Thank
the same hours as the other ones.
Yes, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, on Friday, we have Gothenburg from yes.
Yes, and you will most likely meet me there, and I'll be available the hours that you had scheduled. So yes, it's me on Friday.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to have a lot of one-on-one counseling next week. Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much for
Bye.
having us
Bye-bye.
here.
Bye.
네, 지금부터는 한국어로 다시 진행을 할 거고요. 스웨덴 대학에서 석사를 마치고 취업에 성공하신 두 분을 모시고 스웨덴 유학 경험담에 대해서 이야기를 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 네, 먼저 제가 좀 두 분을 초대해야 되는데요. 잠시만 기다려주세요.